hear it, but it's not bad.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the Daily Intimacy. It is Tuesday, what is it, April 13th.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13, absolutely. Really happy to be here with my friend Linda, who I have not seen in too long of a time. All right, we're going to begin with a centering meditation. So I just want to invite you to be comfortable wherever you are. Have a nice deep breath in through the nose. Let yourself exhale. Let that breath out. And close your eyes if you haven't already. Nice deep breath. Focus on the exhale a couple times just to allow yourself to settle in. For those of you that have been doing the consciousness lock with me, we'll invite you to do that now. So hands out in front with an awareness of what is externally calling your attention. Even the things that we don't really necessarily notice are there. And then gentle fists and bring them down to your lap. You come into your own personal luminous field, into the bubble of your energy fields. Just see that coming over your head and behind you. Down to the earth, all around, becoming quieter. And then becoming more aligned with your internal self. We'll bring one hand to the heart, one hand to the third chakra, just below the rib cage. Hands still in fists for the moment. And then we make the transition to opening the hands, coming inside, and bringing your attention now deeply inside. Just notice what that feels like, if you can feel the difference. Allow your energy and your attention to reside at the back of your head, the spine, the seat of your body. And in this space, nice, easy breath. Bring your awareness to the earth beneath you, to Gaia, to her beautiful springtime energy that is nourishing us, beginning to nourish us. And see if you, as you breathe in, if you can actually feel the energy of the earth coming into your own energy fields. Allow that to travel from the base of your body up to your heart. And then from above, you can envision a crystalline energy coming down through the crown of your head. Nice and sparkly, bathing all the cells in your brain, clearing out any fog. Gently landing on your shoulders and allowing you to release anything you've been carrying on your shoulders energetically. You can just invite that luminous crystalline energy to just release that, any heaviness you've been holding on to. Anything you feel responsible for that you can let go of. And then allow that crystalline light, that sparkly energy to continue through the heart center, down the spine, down to the base of your body. And let's see that energy release itself even further into the earth. Those sparkles of energy planting seeds beneath you. What is it that you are ready to grow into, or grow around you, or grow through, now that we're coming into the season of light? So just notice what's getting planted. If anything comes to your mind, just be aware of that. You can see the sparkles taking root. roots sending them down into the earth. And perhaps you already see these little tiny buds like I saw in my garden this morning of my spinach plants, tiny, tiny, tiny leaves starting to pop up and through, getting ready to nourish the earth and also me and my family. And holding on to that, holding on to all the energy that you just brought out and forward and through, the sparkly, the earth, the nourished seeds, and inside yourself, the deep connection you have in this moment. And nice deep breath in. Exhale. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and come on back. And again, a nice warm welcome to those of you here for the first time, to those of you coming back, and to those of you that haven't been here in a little while. Invite you to, I always invite you to turn your video on. It's really nice to see faces, or see your living room if you don't want to show your face. It's just nice to have the video, if you can, if you're willing. Welcome, everybody. So this morning we have a dear friend, Linda, that I met many years ago now. I'm just thinking of the Dream Factory at that restaurant in Concord. It's like a networking group. But before I met you in person, I knew about you because in my world, you're like famous. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to meet this woman, Linda Manning. And yeah, your reputation.
I heard about you too, actually. I think you're
really
in your own right. There are.
I don't know. That was a while ago. Anyway, I think we just met. We're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of a love fest with kindred spirit energy. And yeah, I mean, I'd love you to share more about like who you are in the world, because I think that you're one who's just come in with this open channel of connection to other worlds and other energies. And that's really unique. For me, it's like something that I needed to develop and work on and open to and practice and, you know, all that good stuff. I guess I forgot who I was very early on. But I don't know if I don't think that's been the case for you. I think you just have been.
I don't know. It's not such a different story. And, you know, I think it's important that, I mean, I'm someone who absolutely believes that everybody is intuitive. So if you're on this call, hopefully you already know that you're intuitive, but if you aren't sure, you should be sure, because to me, and my favorite metaphor, I don't know why, is like playing the piano. Anyone can play the piano. I mean, even if you don't have hands, you could like play it with your chin, right? So everyone can play it, but some people have more naturally skilled than others, and some people practice more than others. And the biggest distinguisher is if you practice. So if you feel like you're intuitive, but you haven't been practicing it, then of course there's always more capability for getting more and more and more. And I feel like in some ways that's been my story of, I was actually thinking about when it all began. And when I was 11 years old, my father had cancer. And I remember going to visit him in the hospital. And that's when I found out he had had the surgery. And that's when I found out what it was for. And I thought, why didn't I already know that? I should have already known that. And it was almost like from that moment of saying, I want to be able to know things before I could know them, you know, and I, as I look back on it now, I'm like, well, not all 11-year-olds would have necessarily had that particular reaction. No. But that was mine. I was like, no, I should already know that. And of course, as I got older, and maybe some of you guys can relate to this, then I really wanted to mind read my boyfriends. Anyone relate to that? Where I was like, and it was like really coming from the people pleaser side of me. Like, if I can figure out what they want, if I can read their minds, then I can please them, and then they'll like me and all of this crap. Does anyone just nod your head if you can relate to being a
Oh,
people
yeah.
pleaser sometimes, right?
Nods about reading partners, girlfriends, and
Right.
boyfriends.
And so I can't say that like my, you know, were my initial motivations pure, and maybe not so much, but there was something in it that just kept drawing me and wanting more and studying intuition and taking classes and working with different people. But one of the things that confused me, and I wanted to share this in case it's a confusion for any of you, is that there are really different ways that intuition shows up. And I always thought of it as clairvoyance, like being able to see stuff. And that was actually not my strong suit. So I would be in this class with a lot of other people and they go, oh my God, I see this yellow aura, or, you know, I see this red light. I'd be like, damn, I don't see any of that. And so I thought they're more intuitive than I am. And it took me a long time to realize, like, no, it's just that it shows up in a different way for me. So has anyone wondered, like, is that ever happened to any of you guys where you've thought that intuition should be a certain way and it isn't that way for you, so you must not be intuitive? And so what I've really learned is, so clairvoyance, being able to see things, is something that people have. And, you know, if you're clairvoyant, like you can even just write in chat, like, yes, that's how it's, you see things. And then there's, you know, there's seeing things with our regular eyes, right? And then they're seeing things with our third eye. And so that could be with your eyes open or your eyes shut. Some people, like, I find it's easier when my outer eyes are shut sometimes to see things. But then there's also clairaudience. Some people hear things and they get messages, and it's, again, you can hear things with your outer ear, but there's also sort of a hearing things with your inner ear. And for some people, they're more clairsentient, so they might feel sensations. So a lot of times when I'm working on somebody, I will feel things in my body that they're feeling. And what happened was, that used to happen to me. And I mean, the worst was I actually threw up after a healing session because I'd taken on so much of the client's energy. And that's when I negotiated. And this is something, again, that I've learned along my path, which is you can negotiate with your guides. You can negotiate with your intuition. A lot of people don't realize this, but I think it's super important. So sometimes people block their intuition because it's overwhelming. They don't want to have it don't want it to show up all the time. And so you can always negotiate, like, or you have dreams a lot and you're like, oh my God, I can't get enough sleep because I'm having all these dreams. So just know that you can negotiate. And so I negotiated that I wanted to be able to feel what people were feeling because it was information, but I didn't want it to like land on me. So I wanted the sensation and then on its merry way. So that works out because I'm very clairsentient. I feel a lot of times what people are feeling. And then there's claircognizance, where you just have a knowing, which is actually my strongest one, where I'll just have information and I'll just know it. And it's not really a picture or anything else.
What was that word, Linda?
Cognizance. So it's clair. Clair means clear.
Yeah.
It's French.
Wow.
You know, so there's clairvoyance, clear seeing, clairaudience is clear hearing, clairsentience is clear sensing, claircognizance is clear knowing. And there's also clear empathy, or where you can feel other people's feelings. So yeah, there you go. So those are 5. There's more of them because some people taste and smell and stuff, but those are probably the top 5.
That's so interesting. And people, I'd love to hear from people, actually.
Yeah.
This is going to be really participatory, so please encourage yourself to share. But I mean, from my experience, like, I have a little bit of all of those, but some are stronger than others. So I'm assuming that's kind of normal.
Yeah, that's really common. And when people start developing their intuition, often they have like 1 or 2 that are super strong. But then as they develop it, you can actually expand, and even intentionally. So that's something I try and challenge myself, or if I'm teaching a class, I like to challenge people. Like if you're clairvoyant, maybe just try to hear something and see what comes up for you. So that could be a really fun stretch assignment for yourself if you're like, I'm really good at this and I'm not good at that. give it a shot. We can even try that here. So I'd love to hear from some of you guys. You can write it in chat if you want.
Yeah, put me in the chat if you want.
And you don't have to use the Claire word. You can just say, I'm good at seeing, hearing, or knowing, or feeling, or sensing. What are some of the ways that intuition shows up for you? Or if you're like, I have no idea, that's also a totally valid answer.
So you're inviting people to put in the chat like what they notice about themselves in terms of these clarities. Okay, go ahead. Everybody take a moment. And while you're doing that, I have a question for you, Linda, that maybe you can answer now or in a minute. But I've had moments where I've heard something very clearly, but it only happens like in that particular way when I know it's not me. Maybe it's happened less than a handful of times ever. I'm just curious about that. Like, why in that moment did I get this really strong like message undeniably, and then other times that's not the way I get my information? So I'm just curious about that.
So that's a really interesting question. You know, I've had some of that experience myself, and I think sometimes the guides, and you know, I use lots of different words. I use soul, you know, there's your soul, there's your guides, your source, there's whatever words you got, like sub out a different word if you don't like anything but sometimes they really want to get a message across and they don't want any confusion. So they will like make sure. And you know, here's one of my experience with intuition is that sometimes it'll be like a quiet tapping on the shoulder, like you'll get a little gentle message. And then if you ignore it, it might come out a little stronger. And then if you ignore it, it might blast you. And sometimes life things are what blast us, like illness or a car accident. I mean, sometimes if we really ignore things for a long time, we can end up
manifesting,
creating a situation that makes us really pause and think. So that's why I like to listen early and often.
Interesting. Oh, very good. I want to hear more about that. Let's see in the chat. We've got Claire Sentient. Welcome, Corinne. Holly says she sees colors, see them, sense them. That's really cool. Yeah. My guides seem to be colors as well. Empathetic. Pat says hearing, seeing, feeling events before they occur. Deja vu. Or maybe you can comment on that. That's interesting. Darling says I have some of all, but knowing is stronger. Cindy, knowing and seeing. Leslie, feelings and thoughts. Andrea, knowing. Know in advance. No, I know in advance. Feeling. Feelings and knowing, feeling, seeing, mostly Diane. Visualize messages, a person's face before they call, precognition, and events like accidents before they happen. Wow, there's a few of you seeing things before they happen.
Yeah.
Claire Sentient, sometimes wake up with poems or work outlines delivered into my brain. Yeah. Death, rebirth, and crisis in cyclically loud, and we'll get info in dreams or awake. Had to do a lot of boundary work to separate, my feelings from others. Me too, Arlene. Colors and patterns, sometimes faces in meditation. This is a great topic. I'd say I'm a clairaudient, clairsentient, and claircognizance. I particularly hear and see spirits and their messages. From Aaron. Wow, this is so cool. Richard says, I don't understand, nor am I able to translate these. So yeah, turning it back to you, Linda.
Well, you know, I mean, it is interesting because there are some that require more translation than others. And so particularly, I think clairvoyance, when you see an image or or colors are really common. I love that lots of people have colors. But that can, you see a color, but what does it mean? And I love to actually turn it right back to the guides and ask that question. And that's a great second level, right? So first you might get information, but if you're not clear, you can ask. And so sometimes just pausing and asking, like, well, what does that mean? Or what is the message? Or what should I share? Either, especially if it's for somebody else or even for yourself, right? But what should I share? with somebody else, because sometimes you might get information that is for you to know. And a bunch of you said that you get information beforehand, and that can be really challenging for some people. And I'm wondering if it is for some people here, because if you know something, but you can't stop it, you can't do anything about it, then how do you hold that?
That's sort of, yeah, I'd love to hear more about that from you, and also from anybody that said that. I guess that I was just jumping in with, like, that also fits with like information. When you know information beforehand, like that happens to me. Like someone has some kind of disease or dis-ease in their body, and I immediately see what it's about, but the person's in no way ready to hear that.
Right.
That's really hard.
Well, and I ask that question a lot, actually, when I'm doing work with people. I ask because my goal was always, can I heal people as quickly as possible? And I learned that is not actually, that's not actually that helpful, because it's as quickly as possible for them doesn't always mean high speed, because people are ready when they're ready. And so sometimes, in fact, quite often, I might get information that they're not ready to hear or know. And so then it's for me to say, okay, how do I hold them in this? Or how do I support them till they can be ready for that? And it can evolve. So I know there were lots of different comments.
Do you suggest, like, because some people are saying they see things ahead of time, like accidents and things like that. Are you suggesting that, similar to what you just said, like they might ask, like, their guides, is this information just for me, or shall I get on the phone and tell that person, like, do not get in your car, or, do you know?
Well, yeah, and the challenge can be if there's nothing you can do about it. Because sometimes we get information, but we can't, and that's really hard, I think, especially for accidents or other things. And so it could be, what's the deeper meaning behind this? It could be, this is to help prepare you so you're ready to handle whatever happens. And it could be that it's to share it with somebody else. So I think that is a really good question to ask. Like, oh, what's the meaning of this information? Is there a deeper purpose? Because maybe there's a deeper purpose behind an accident. There can be an awakening. There can be a transformation.
Right. Like in a good way.
Right. I mean, in the long run, sometimes it doesn't seem to get.
Right. Richard had a question. Do you want to ask that out loud? I think that's a really good question that probably a few people have, if you're willing to unmute.
Sure. Which one was about anxiety, right?
Yeah, the non-specific. Either, whatever you good question.
Well, I've been experiencing this throughout the pandemic. I've gotten much better recently. But I'm wondering, I never really felt this way before the pandemic. And then, I got a lot of panic and stuff like that. Was that a message to me? It was really intense. I mean, I wasn't to the point where I became non-functional, but it was interrupted my sleep. I chose to take some medication to sleep, which worked. And, I'm just wondering if this is something that is part of my journey, part of my path. I'm into yoga and stuff, so I'm part of that community. And, with any kind of, I've attended a lot of spiritual groups that talk about guides and stuff, but I don't know how to interpret any of that. I mean, in myself, I've always been a very scientific left brain person.
Yeah.
Not a very developed right brain, perhaps. Although I am artistic, I like to do artistic things too, like flower gardening and graphic design, stuff like that. So I just wondered, about the anxiety has been my biggest thing in the past year, which I've been sort of a little bit of a sensitive person in my life, but not like that. Not like that.
Well, so I have a couple of different answers because I think there's a couple of different questions. So one of the questions that you might be asking, and that probably other people have too, is how do I know if it's my brain or my intuition?
Oh,
and
yes.
That's a really common question and confusion. And one of the ways is that fear is generally our brain. When we're in a place of fear, or or we're caught in our emotions, then that's usually, that could be heart or our brain, but that is not our intuition. Because sometimes, and that's why actually I loved Robyn's opening. It was so perfect. Of course it was, because a lot of it was around grounding. And my experience is that to really open to our intuition, it helps a lot to be grounded. So free-floating anxiety, or that anxiety, is usually like we're up here energetically, and doing some grounding and centering and breathing, which sounds like you do some of, but really feeling like, okay, in this moment, am I safe?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Right. And so, yes. Okay. So I don't think that intuition usually speaks in that way, right? That's the that's our mind or other parts of us that get all anxious like that.
The vagal system, right?
And when we can actually, and not that it's always easy in the heat of the moment, but actually separate, we can notice our emotions. Like, oh, I'm noticing I'm anxious. That's interesting. And have that slight gap between how we feel, like noticing our feelings, bringing in the observer self.
Yeah.
From the observer self, then we can go, oh, let me tap in intuitively and see if there's a meaning to this anxiety or a message. But when we're in it, it's just it's hard when we're in it to get the deeper message.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that can actually really help, is doing some grounding exercises. And then just see, like, you can probably see, like, I'll literally like, see, can I hold it out here? Like, oh, interesting. Let me look at that anxiety and see if I can understand it a little differently.
I do this in meditation and also in therapy. So yeah, it can be effective in the moment, but as far as the general trend day to day, I mean, I'm in an improving pattern, but I'm still in a unfamiliar pattern of heightened.
So there's two other ideas I have. So I want to share those two. So one is, and you guys may be familiar with the idea of the collective consciousness. So, so there's like, we are all tapped into our souls, but we're also tapped into the greater collective around us, society and other things. And when there is a lot of anxiety in society, it's very hard not to take it on. So I want to do an exercise. Robyn said, don't just be talking, do an exercise. So we'll do an exercise right now on detaching from the collective consciousness. So raise your hand if that sounds good to you. Are you in for detaching from the collective? Because, like, who wants that these days? Okay, so
gosh, we have to detach.
Right? So I want you to imagine a cord between you and the collective. Like, and you can imagine however you want, but I sort of think of it as this like big sort of cloud. And there's lots and lots of fear energy in that cloud right now, and concern and worry, and, should I get the virus and the vaccine and the what's going to happen in the world? I mean, there's a million voices and chatter up in that cloud. And imagine that you may feel it from your heart, you may feel it from your head, from your back. Just notice. Or you may not even feel it, that's okay. But just imagine that there's a cord between you and that collective anxiety. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull imagine like it's like there's a cord that we're going to be pulling out, but you don't want to pull it into your body, right? You want to like pull it, and you can just sort of put it on the floor. Or if you have a candle, I like to have candles, I throw it into the candle. So here, I'll put my candle so you all can see. You can throw it into my candle too if you want. It's right here. Actually, I don't want all your stuff in my candle. You throw it in your own. Okay. So just take a moment and say, you know what? Set your intention. I am going to release now and forever my connection to this collective consciousness. And then you reach up. I know some of you have already done this, and imagine just pulling that cord out and throwing it into the ground, throwing it into Mother Earth. Let Mother Earth really take it. And then, so just actually before I go on, like, could you guys feel, did any of you feel that? Feel a little lighter, or I get a little buzz in my head, so I feel it. So this is a great exercise. And just because we do it now, like, it's quite possible that you will reconnect with it at some point. You're reading, you're watching the news, and all of a sudden you feel your anxiety go up. So you can always do this again, right? It's not, can do it anytime you want. But we also want to connect ourselves to something that we want. So we know we don't want to be connected to that collective. So really think for a moment about, maybe we want to connect to our guides or spirit. Maybe we want to connect to joy and possibility. There are also collectives for that. And so we could say, you know what, I would love to connect to all of the higher vibration. I don't know if you guys, this is a whole other topic, but that every emotion has a vibration. Do you guys know that? So there's actually charts you can look up. I would show it, but and so that the higher feelings, the better feelings, the feelings that feel good, have a higher number, a higher vibration, and anxiety and fear and depression, those have lower vibration numbers. So if you think about it, you know, when you're in that lower vibration, it's really hard to get in your intuitive information. So we release some of that negativity, and now we have the possibility. Now we want to raise our vibration even higher. So some of you said you're attracted to colors. Colors can be a really great way to raise your vibration. Or if you are more auditory, like listening to beautiful music can raise your vibration. Going out into nature is a great way. A lot of people find when they're out in nature, their vibration just naturally gets higher. So really think about, for you, what is something, and for you, Richard, but for all of you, what are some things that you've noticed about yourself that put you in a better place, that help you raise your vibration? You can write in chat, like, what are some things that you're like, oh, I noticed that when I'm gardening, I feel better. I noticed that I picked out a color for today's session, maybe because I'm wearing blue. I picked out the color blue for today. These are some healing cards that I have, that a friend of Robyn and I, my friend Marianne, has created these healing cards. And so, yeah, when I laugh, that's great. Listening to comedy can be good. Going for a scenic drive, beautiful. Yeah, hiking, walking in nature. Nature works for a lot of people. Oh, and art, painting, collage, bringing that creative side to ourselves. That's beautiful. Board games. I'm actually a big game player too. And the ocean, the ocean is like my favorite healing space of all, I think, for me personally. Yeah, when we connect beautifully and authentically with someone. So many ways. And music. So Richard, you said music. So that is a great noticing for yourself, right? Is when you start to feel that anxiety, is there music? You know, I mean, everything from Don't Worry, Be Happy. I have a whole like playlist of uplifting fun, dancing. Does anyone like to dance? Dancing can be, I actually love dancing. Dancing can shift my mood. So we can notice when we're at a lower vibration, some of those heavier feelings. And then through movement, through being in nature, through art, through music, through whatever works for you, notice how as your vibration, as your feelings go up, it's actually much, much easier to then be receptive to true intuitive information. So you might want to play around with any of those, Richard and anybody else, if that, when the anxiety starts to come up, and, you know, it comes up for me too. I'm definitely not immune to it. And so I try to find some of these things to shift my energy. There's a woman named Christine Marie Sheldon who talks about love and above as the vibration that you want to be at. So love and joy, and I can't remember all of the higher beautiful vibrations, but you probably all know them from your own life experience. So take it, and go ahead, Robyn.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was just, the chat's so incredible. I know there's been some questions. Whenever you feel like putting me in the chat, feel free to ask them. Erin, I know you had a question, and maybe some others. So just put me in the chat.
Okay, well, let me do one more thing for everyone, and then let's answer some more questions. So we released our connection to the collective, and I would love for each of you, and it doesn't have to be the same, we can each have our own thing, right? To think about, like, what would you like to actually connect to? Like, I'm totally in the mood for joy myself, but you know, think about what is it you'd like to connect to, and then imagine a cord coming from your heart to whatever that vibration is that you want to connect to. And imagine it just pouring into you, and it's vibrant, and letting it fill you up. And as that's happening, just notice how that feels in your body, or in your heart, or in your soul. How does that feel? What do you notice? Oh, I feel inspired to do one more thing with this, which is, and you can write it in chat, or you can just think it. It's, you know, if you're in the mood to just be in this energy, you don't have to write. But I love, as a group, because we're a group, groups are so powerful, to have everyone throw a color into the center. So whatever color you feel like, again, you can just think it. I'm going to put silver in the center, whatever color you want. Imagine that we are creating this gorgeous ball of colors, and just keep putting them in, throw in, you can put in more than one. There's green, there's blue, there's pink, there's orange, there's yellow, there's red, all these gold. Oh, I see some gold coming in. Purple. All these beautiful colors. Imagine that we collectively are creating this incredible ball of beautiful light. And so first, we're going to take this light in. So just imagine, like, all of these colors bubbling in, bubbling around, and anywhere they need to go in your body to heal you, to shift you, just be in the bathing of these gorgeous colors all around you. And now imagine sending them to everyone in this group. So you don't even have to look at each other's names, but just holding that this is a collective that we're in right now. And imagine a circle. Wouldn't it be beautiful if we were in person in a circle? But we're going to imagine a circle, and we're passing this ball of color around so that it is touching each and every person and lighting them up. And just knowing that you are part of the source of this light, and you are part of the source of healing and supporting everybody in this group. And when it's your turn, feel yourself receiving it. Oh, just felt like I was receiving it. And now we want to share it with the world because we know that the whole world is in need of this light. And so what's beautiful is we're in all these different locations. So as we send it out, so first fill your home. Imagine wherever you are, filling that space with this high vibration light, this sparkly, bright, multicolored light. And it cleans out any old energy that's not needed anymore, any lower vibration. Imagine it's sweeping your house clean. And then allowing it to go to your neighborhood. And then to your town. Just imagine that you are sending blessings to your whole town. And now let's go for the whole country. Imagine that we're filling this country, all of us together are filling this country with this incredible, beautiful light and love and possibilities and joy. And the thing is that for you to send this out, it's not coming from you. So just notice if you feel like there's efforting, if you feel like you're having to send it out with effort, that's a great piece of information for you. I want you to relax and allow it to flow through you and not from you. And that is one of the keys to intuition, is that it is not about efforting. It's not about your energy. It is about you opening and allowing. So you are allowing these colors and this light to flow through you. And it's very relaxing for you. There's literally no effort. And in fact, you get to be continuously fed and filled as you send it out. Doesn't that feel better? So feeling yourself grounded, feeling yourself held by the divine light, and just allowing it to flow out from this whole group and from you and through you really to this whole country. And now let's go for the whole planet. So imagine that we are circling this planet with this incredible light. And there's people all around the world who are getting fed. They don't even know it, or maybe some of them do. And they suddenly feel better. They feel happier. They feel like love is filling them. And now it circles all the way around the globe and back to this group and back to the center. And just take a moment to be in gratitude. Gratitude is a very high vibration feeling. And so just feeling the gratitude for receiving whatever you received, knowing that it was perfect. And so if you felt like, wow, that was amazing, the flow, I loved it, that's beautiful. And if you feel like, wow, I didn't feel a thing, just be okay with that too, right? We get to be in gratitude for our experiences, whatever they are. When you're ready and you want to come back to this group and to opening your eyes and just notice how you feel. Do you feel different? What's your vibration like? What's your body like? What's happening for you? If you want to write it in chat, that's beautiful. If you just want to feel it, that's okay too. Excellent, yes. Clearing our houses. It's a great idea to energetically clear your house. Oh, great, Leslie Ann. Calm and whole. Okay. So there we go. It was not what I was expecting to do, but that's what came through. And that's one of the beautiful things for me anyway about, intuition is to be present to what shows up, even if it's not at all what you planned. And that's part of the fun of it.
Yes, it sure is. Anybody have any questions they want to get answered in the last 10 minutes or so?
Were there some questions earlier, Robyn, that you said that we didn't get to?
I felt like Erin had a question, and Holly shared a whole bunch of really interesting information. I don't know, Holly, if you want to hop on. And anybody else I might have missed.
I'll go first. Hi, Linda. Okay. So here's my question. When you know things that are dangerous, but telling people, right, like, for example, I have a relative that I believe very much to be, he's young, he's 18, he's my nephew. And I believe he will do something tragic. I in fact, not just believe, I know, like my face is turning red when I talk about this because it's so deep. I've known this for a couple of years. But what do you do about something like that?
So what I do, I can only tell you what I do, which is I send love. I send, whatever someone's missing or whatever you think that they're missing, you want to send.
Okay.
So, and this may be a little wacky, but like after 9/11, I sent love to Osama bin Laden because I'm like, this is a guy who clearly, like, to be able to do that, like how sad must your heart be? How dark must you be in lacking in that empathy for other people? And so I thought, I don't need to send him hate. There's plenty of that already. Can I send him love? And so that's my response, is to send love and support and healing and whatever else that you might feel inspired to send.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
There's a question from Cindy. What is the difference between inspiration and intuition? Are they the same? Good question.
That is. Oh, that's a tough. Okay. Well, I mean, they can be the same, I think, because so intuition can come in a lot of different forms, as we talked about, but also there's different kinds of intuition, right? There's that gut feeling, because a lot of times intuition, there's parts of our intuition that are there to protect us. And that was actually for me, because I'm like I'm like a nice person, right? So I used to think I can't not like someone unless I have a really good reason. But early on, like as a teen, I actually started to feel like, no, if I have a gut feeling that I can't trust someone, I want to honor that. And I feel like, I have done some crazy things in my life, but I have always stayed safe because I trusted. If I really felt like I could trust someone, I would take chances, and it always worked out. And if I didn't feel like I could trust someone, I would just not. And so that is because I've traveled around the world by myself, and knock on wood, thank God, but I've always stayed safe. And I really think it was from trusting that gut feeling. So that's one way that that's a little different from inspiration, right? That kind of intuition holds us safe. Inspiration to me is the what's possible. And we can also use our intuition or inspiration that way to say, oh, what could I create? What's possible for me? And I think I don't know. I mean, I think for some people, they could be the same thing, that inspiration that comes in to me is very much aligned to your intuition. And that, aha, oh, I just thought of that. Oh my gosh. Right. And that's for me personally, because especially when I do healing work on people, I'm checking in with their guides. And I often feel like the information could definitely not come from me, because I would have I don't know that information. And it also makes me laugh. My experience of the guides is that they often have a great sense of humor. And inspiration can feel that way too, when you're like, oh my gosh, I know what to do. And it's that sort of light sense of fun. So Cindy, I don't know if that answers your question, but
Linda, it absolutely does. You gave me a lot of clarity, especially with that gut feeling. And it is sometimes confusing to distinguish between the two. And you said that yourself. So yeah, you gave me a lot of clarity to distinguish the gut feeling with the inspiration coming. So thank you.
Great. You're welcome.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. And we have time for another question. And also, Linda, I know that you sometimes teach classes on intuition, and I don't know, I just think you're so awesome. Do you have anything coming up?
I do, although I don't actually have a date for it yet, but it will be coming up soon. I have, I'm going to be doing a 5-day challenge on protecting yourself energetically.
Oh, nice.
We haven't even really talked about that so much here, but I am a really extremely big fan of energetic protection.
Yes.
Years ago, I got Reiki Master trained. And so my energy field was super open, and a lot of crap happened. Just crazy things. Like I would trip over nothing and injure myself. So I'm doing a 5-day challenge. It'll be like 5 or 10 minutes a day, super fast, but to learn all different kinds of ways to protect yourself energetically. And then I'll be doing another class on intuition. I just finished one, and it was just so much fun. I love doing it. So yeah, if you're interested, I can be in touch through Robyn, and would love to have you in either one. If the challenge is free, or the class it's great. And also, I wanted to say, it's for Richard, or for a bunch of people wrote about anxiety, that early on in the pandemic, I was in a meditation, and I actually downloaded a 5-step process. It's called From Anxiety to Action. And I have I have write-ups on it in my webpage. So if anyone is interested in it's a 5-step process, very simple. It includes things like going out in nature and some things that we talked about today. But if you're interested, if you're having some anxiety and you want to see some different steps you could do, I welcome you to come to my page and read about it.
That's on your website?
Yeah. So innerclarity.biz.
Say it again. Inner
clarity. So I chose that name for my business because I couldn't decide on a name for my business, and finally I was like, I just want some inner clarity. I was like, oh.
And you're like, oh, that's it. That's so funny. That's like me. I just want to come back to love. Oh, okay. Our business names are also our mantras.
Exactly.
That's great. So, I'm going to send out your info, but are you going to do the 5-day challenge like on Facebook or something like that, or?
It will be. No, I'll be sending emails. So if anyone is in the 5-day challenge, I will need your email for it, because I send videos. It's easier, because the thing with the Facebook challenge is you have to be there at a certain time or whatever. And that just makes it super easy.
Okay, good. So people just need to find your website and just get on your mailing list, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. And I know you personally, you're not a spammer. In fact, I'd love to hear more from you in your newsletter.
I know. I've been a little not too diligent on that. So that.
No, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like if they join your email list, they're going to be bombarded with emails at all.
No, definitely.
Just the important stuff you do comes through. So it's beautiful. Linda, this was amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm going to welcome everybody to unmute and send you some love and appreciation right now, because I feel like that's what I feel like doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Robyn, for having Linda.
Thank you,
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Thank you.
Anytime.
That was so great. I so appreciate you. Beautiful.
And thank you, Robyn.
Yes, thank you, Robyn, for your beautiful holding.
Thank you.
Welcome. Next week we have a community gathering. So just us, and I have a big question for you. So please do come so you can answer it. Honestly, I do want your feedback on something. So please come and hopefully we'll have a nice big gathering, I'm sure. And I'll get your feedback and we'll have a good time to connect. So I'll see you guys all next week, and blessings on the rest of your day, bringing in that clarity, that inner clarity. Thank you so much, Linda. That was amazing.
My pleasure.
Thank you all.
Thank you.